It was a few months after I had turned 18 and I had just dropped out of high school and I didn't have a place to call home. And I was at a gas station in downtown Dallas wearing a black dress and heels. It was about 8 at night and a patrol car pulled up. And I was nervous. My trafficker was nearby in a parking lot watching me, so I knew I had to stay where I was and do what I was told. And I really thought they were going to arrest me for prostitution or something, but then they asked if I needed help. And I did want help, but I was scared and I couldn't really talk about what was going on because my trafficker was watching. But I think the officers understood, and they ended up pretending to arrest me so that I wouldn't get into trouble by my trafficker for leaving by choice. So we went to the police station and the detective began to ask me about what was really going on. And I remember it being freezing in the station, so they got me a huge gray sweatshirt to wear. And as they were questioning me for a while, they asked if I wanted help finding a safe place to stay and told me they knew some people that would be able to help me start a new life if I wanted to. And honestly, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I definitely didn't want to go back to my trafficker, but I didn't want to go to a shelter. I've spent my whole life in foster care, and honestly, a shelter just sounded scary and like I'd be trapped, which was opposite of the freedom that I wanted. I wouldn't know anyone there at a shelter, and it didn't have any of my stuff with me. It just all felt scary.
It was about 9 p.m. when we got the call about Alexa. As I was driving to the police station to meet her, my mind is running through logistics of what shelters does she qualify for, what immediate resources will she need, what advocate will follow up with her tomorrow, et cetera, but my heart is focused on what is unique to her specific situation. What does she need from me in this moment to know that she is heard, seen, and valued? And I remember praying specifically that Alexa would give me the opportunity to earn her trust. When I first saw Alexa, when I walked through those doors of the police station, she just looked so young and so tired. Like she had asked for this kind of help before, only to be burned. I wanted so bad for this time to be different for her. So I just sat on the couch with her and listened as she began to talk.
And it was about that time that the advocate from Rescue Her got to the station. So when she walked in, she just smiled, and I felt like really comfortable with her for some reason. So she told me that she helped women who had been through what I had been through. She said she understood going to a new place, even a safe place, was scary. In that moment, I really felt heard by her. She had even brought a big bag of stuff for me, like clothes and shampoo and like a coloring book, things like that. And I thought, okay, maybe I can do this. So I decided to go with her to the shelter that night, and I thought I'd just give it a try, and really I just felt like a disappointment. It was overwhelming, and so after a few days being there, I left.
I got a text from Alexa telling me she was leaving the shelter. She said she didn't want to keep disappointing people, that she had a lot going on and it was just too much being there. That was a hard text to get because I knew that it meant she didn't yet believe that there was hope for her. And after that, we lost touch with her. We put her name up in our office as a reminder to pray for her daily, though, and a month later, she reached out.
After I left the shelter, I tried living on my own, but it didn't take long for me to be trafficked again. And I met a guy and we started dating. I moved in with him. We bought a dog together and everything. And I thought I was in a relationship with this guy, but it turns out he just wanted to use me for money. Instead of walking the track, he sold me through online apps, and the guys would just come to our apartment. So one afternoon, he and his friends went out and they left me alone. And I just knew that this was my chance to get away. I still had Rescue Her's number, and even though it had been about a month, I felt like I could call them. And honestly, I was afraid that they would be mad at me for leaving the shelter. But I remembered how kind and how patient they were with me in just those few days, so I thought I'd give it a shot and reach out. There was literally nobody else that I could call.
We hadn't heard from Alexa in about a month. I was with my family that Saturday afternoon when I got a random text from her asking if I could call. Since I was out with my family, I said 15 to 20 minutes, but she said, "No, can you hurry?" So I started asking questions about her safety, who she was with, what was going on, and what she needed from me in that moment. Through these questions, I realized she was being trafficked, and now was her chance to escape. I called 911 and my heart was racing. I wanted them to get there before we lost contact with her again. Law enforcement arrived and were able to safely get to Alexa at the exact moment her trafficker and his buddy were pulling into the apartment. I met Alexa at the police station with a burger, a hug, and good news that we found a safe place for her to stay. We drove her to the shelter immediately, and I cannot explain how it felt that night to know that she was safe. I truly believe that that night changed it all for her and for our relationship. I could tell that she was starting to trust me and believe that I meant it when I said I was there for her no matter what. That night when I knew she had a safe place to stay, I felt so relieved. After a month of praying for her without her knowing and without me knowing how she was doing, the moment that I knew she was safe felt like a weight had been lifted. It reminded me what it felt like the day that we did lose contact with her, and I knew that I wanted to do everything in my power to never have to feel that again.
That day, when I reached out to rescue her again, was a new beginning for me. Because of what I've been through, it takes me a long time to trust somebody. For the majority of my life, I've had people either neglect me completely or fake that they cared about me just to get something that they want. So when I started working with Rescue Her, it was almost overwhelming having so many people genuinely care about my life. It didn't matter what I did or how I acted or the choices that I made, they showed up for me consistently. And eventually, because of that consistency, I began to trust them and to heal. So with their help, I filed a report against my trafficker. I started learning basic things like how to budget and even how to cook some meals, because I didn't even know how to boil water. But eventually, we began taking steps towards my dream, finishing high school. I also started going to their weekly survivor support group. My favorite thing about that group was being around other people who had been through things that I had been through. It was really cool because there were several times where we got the opportunity to encourage one another, and I never knew that I was good at that type of thing, at sharing with someone why they matter and why they're important. And that gave me a lot of confidence to know that I could impact someone's life for the better. Going to the support group was also the first time I began to understand the fact that I had value apart from what I could do for guys. And that by not forgiving the people who had hurt me, I was actually keeping myself from being truly free. So several months went by and I was moving forward in some areas, but my group of friends was really toxic, so I knew it was time for me to leave Dallas. Rescue Her helped me get into a program far away from Dallas where I could feel safe and I could really focus on my healing and reaching my goals. I'm proud to say that this past May I graduated high school and I'm starting college in the fall. And one of the things that Rescue Her told me in the beginning is that they would be there for me every step of the way as I figured things out and started a new life, and they really have been. Thank you for not giving up on me and for continuing to believe in me. I don't know where I'd be today if it wasn't for Rescue Her, or if I'd be alive at all. You always say you want to help the one. Well, I am the one that you helped.